Hey guys, today I am joined by a challenge veteran, someone that we haven't seen since the challenge final reckoning in 2018 until we got this season on Paramount Plus, the Challenge All Stars. Jemmye, thanks so much for taking the time today to speak with me. First question for you, it kind of going through your socials and your YouTube, kind of seemed like you were retired from the challenge. It didn't really seem like you wanted to go back. Yet we saw you on the Challenge All Stars where you did really well. You made it to the final. Can you just kind of, I guess, break that down for us? Why did you go back to the challenge? Were you expecting to go back to the challenge? What were your thoughts on the whole thing?
Honestly, I was done. I personally did not like the new direction the challenge was taking. I didn't like the fact that they were casting all of these people from different shows and different countries. I thought it had kind of lost what it was, well, what was authentic about it and what fans loved and what I loved. So it wasn't fun anymore. And I'm the type of person, if something's not serving you, just step away, take the memories with you, and move forward. So I was completely done until I got the All Stars call. And I knew I couldn't say no to All Stars because I grew up watching half of these people. I grew up a huge challenge fan, a huge real world road rules fan. So to have the opportunity to kind of go in as one of the younger people and get to play a game with people that I watch play the game, it was just one of those things, like a no brainer. I couldn't say no to this opportunity.
So I guess how could you, I guess just speaking broadly, like how, for your experience on the Challenge All Stars versus the several regular seasons that you did, how could you just compare them just on a broad level? Was it more fun than those other seasons you did?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously the beginning seasons I did were so much fun. When it was still, just road rules, real world kids. The past few seasons I've done, Dirty 30, Vendettas, and Final Reckoning, it just wasn't as fun. So then going back to All Stars, it literally got back to what the challenge was supposed to be. And it was the most fun I've ever had on a challenge. And if you talk to a lot of people, I know me and Darrell have had this conversation, me and Anissa, and those are two people still currently doing challenges. We all just kind of agreed it was the most fun just because it was a group of authentic people. No one was caring about their social media or getting famous after this. It was just literally a bunch of friends that got together to compete for money. And that's what this show started on those premises. So it was nice to get back to the basis and be a part of the first All-Star season.
Now, as fun as it was, I mean, the challenges were still quite difficult. Were you surprised going into that? And, like there's that famous first episode where people are having to get pulled out of the water. Like it was seemed like it was shocking to you guys how difficult the challenges actually were.
I mean, it's no secret that BMP and MTV definitely kind of sold a lie to the cast members. They told people it was going to be like backyard games and how the challenge used to be back in the day. So I went thinking like, oh God, this is going to be so easy. It's going to be so fun. And as soon as CJ said $500,000 in the opening scene to us, I knew immediately that they were going to kick our ass. I was like, they're not going to give away $500,000 and not make this a real challenge competitive wise. So I knew, but I was not expecting that first challenge to be that hard. And the look on everyone's faces mid challenge was one of my favorite memories from the season.
Now, what was like the general thought when TJ announced that there was just like the one big grand prize, only one person was going to walk away with that massive paycheck? What was kind of the general thought? Like, oh, you're not going to get money for third place, second place, whatever.
Well, one, it was bullshit because the old challenges, it was always first, second, third people got money. So it's like if you're taking it back to All Stars and you're inviting all these people that haven't competed in years, take the rules back. No one likes one winner. It doesn't matter if it's a new season, an All Star season. People do not like that setup or theme. And honestly, all the girls were immediately pissed. I'm sorry, it's common sense. It's very hard for us to compete against people like Mark and Darrell and Yes. So, yeah, the first day of the final was fair when it was a point system, but then the second day of the final obviously gave the men an advantage. So it felt very defeating from the beginning, and I think that was the only flaw in the season is it should have been a guy and a girl winner or first, second, and third place winner, no gender. So they definitely dropped the ball on that perspective.
Yeah, fair enough. Was there okay, if you could give, because I'm sure there's plenty of names you could give me here, but if there was say one person that you're just like, oh hell yeah, this person's on this season, I'm so excited to play with them, see them, maybe I've never met them before, this is a very exciting moment, who would that person be?
I was very excited to see Katie Doyle. I grew up being a huge Katie Doyle fan because she just doesn't give a fuck, and Katie Doyle is just authentically herself. So I wanted to see if she lived up to the hype personality wise. And yeah, she's calmed down a lot. She's a mother now. She, has a beautiful home, a beautiful family, but she's still the funniest person ever. So she 100% lived up to the hype, even if she wasn't as dramatic as people expected her to be. She was definitely the one I was most excited to play the game with and to meet because I had never met her before.
Was there someone that you were surprised that you developed such a strong connection with that maybe
Yeah,
going into you didn't know or whatever?
yeah, I was expecting to hate Beth. I mean, Beth has been known to be a villain. Beth has been known to not be nice to some people that I'm very close to. She has beef with like Veronica, who I'm very close to. So I went in there expecting to hate Beth. But I also went in there, I was going to come up with my own like idea of her because of course you have your ideas from your friends and you have your ideas from watching people, but until you meet someone you really don't know them. And we immediately just kicked it off. We immediately just vibed. So I was surprised at the relationship I formed with Beth.
How do you like manage, I guess, like, because yeah, there's obviously that long standing enemy thing with Beth and Veronica. I guess being kind of in the middle of that, do you just kind of try to stay out of it and then like let them do their things? Or
I have been staying out of it. Like when I was filming, I was like, obviously Veronica's not here. So me and Beth forming a relationship and friendship is okay. Recently on Twitter, there's been a lot of back and forth between Beth and Veronica. Um, I kind of think Beth has been out of line lately, and at the end of the day, my loyalty will always lie with Veronica. So it's kind of been a little weird for me watching them go back and forth because it's like I'm always going to be Team Veronica. So it's getting a little complicated. It was fine filming, it was fine while the show was airing, but now for some reason it's getting a little messy because I mean, with reality challenge stars, it's always going to get messy eventually, right?
yeah, fair enough.
We can't help it. We can't help it. We literally can't avoid the drama, as crazy
Yeah,
as that sounds.
kind of comes with it, right? That's kind of how it
Literally
goes.
comes with the territory. It's
Yeah,
eventually going to all spill over.
yeah. Now you had some choice words for Big Easy during the season, specifically during the final. It was aired during the final. Definitely a big storyline coming out of there. What I guess where's your relationship with Big Easy nowadays? And I guess going into the challenge, you had those sort of feelings for Big Easy to begin with.
You know what? Me and Big Easy, I actually love him as a human. Him and I have so much fun together. As soon as the final was over, we partied together, we hung out together. And it has nothing to do with his past performances on challenges because I know people are allowed to grow and change. It all came down to mine and Easy's personalities. When you have to work with someone, sometimes your personality is going to butt heads. And I knew the whole time from the beginning of the season that him and I would not get along if we were ever partnered together. And then in the final, it all came, full circle. And they didn't show it. And Mark can vouch for this. Kellyanne can vouch for this. Darrell can vouch for this. Other people in the final. Easy was not a good partner to be with in the sleeping portion of that final because he was not very fair with the sleeping. So, long story short, my issue with Easy was always about our personalities. It had nothing to do with him, it was literally about us. I think a lot of people always wanted to make it like, oh, she's taking it back to that final where he didn't finish it. I'm like, no, that was years ago. He's a totally different person now. He's in way better shape. It literally had to do with our personalities. We just butt heads, and I knew it was going to happen, and it fucking happened.
Okay, so for the sleeping portion, was he just trying to get a couple extra Z's more than his partner, or what?
Yeah, so essentially when like if I was sleeping and he was standing on the teeter-totter thingy, if he stepped off or fell off, we immediately had to switch. So literally every 20 minutes while other partners were giving each other like 45 minutes to an hour because it was cold. Not only are you tired, you're freezing, but every 20 minutes he would, accidentally fall off. So then we had to switch. And yeah, I could have been petty and and done it back to him. And I was like, it's just not worth it. I'm like, okay, if I stay up a little longer this time, let him sleep, then maybe next time he'll give me a little bit more time. Long story short, I probably spent 70% of the night on that fucking teeter totter standing up while his ass slept.
But nowadays you guys are cool. Hey, did he reach out to you after the show had aired and that final episode had aired?
I mean, we talked about it as soon as the final was over. I was like, I said this shit about you in the interview. I said this shit about you. And Easy, he's just honestly a cool fucking guy. He was like, I don't care. It's a TV show. Yeah, people are gonna talk shit about me. Yeah, I didn't really sleep that. I didn't let you sleep that much, so I get it. So he was always cool about it. He understood that it's not always real life. We are filming a TV show, and what people say in an interview in that moment is just how they feel in that moment. That's not how they feel, all the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, were you surprised with the result of the show with Yes winning? I mean, as fans, we hadn't seen Yes for a couple decades, really. And
Yeah.
he comes on, and when you're looking at the cast and you hear that there's a one winner thing, instantly you're thinking of the Durrells or Marks to maybe get that first place trophy. But Yes kind of came out of nowhere for the fans. Were you surprised to kind of see how that happened?
I mean, like you said, as soon as TJ said one winner, my mind immediately went to, oh, Darrell or Derek are about to finally get a win. They've been waiting for a win for so long again. I automatically thought it was going to be one of them. And then the swimming challenge happened, and I see how good Yes is at just everything. So probably around challenge 2 or 3, I knew that Yes was 100% going to give Darrell and Derek and Mark a run for their money. So he came out of nowhere, but like from the moment he came out of nowhere, I realized like this dude's a competitor and probably a better competitor now than he was back then.
Second season of the Challenge All Stars, yes or no? I'm assuming yes for you. You'd love to see it happen, and would you want to compete on it?
I mean, it's definitely happening. I'm kind of up in the air to be honest with you. I've obviously got the call. It's going to come down. Yeah, like I don't know if I'm going to say yes or no at the moment, to be honest with you. Um, we just came off a challenge, and when we filmed that one, like we were still in the middle of the pandemic. It was winter. It was like the opportunity, the timing was right. So it all comes down to timing. We'll see if the timing's right. But yeah, part of me is like, they're gonna have a girl winner this time, like a girl guy winner. I think they've got so much backlash from fans that they're gonna have a girl and a guy winner, or a team winner, or at least first, second, and third. So part of me is like, okay, you got your feet wet on season one. Go back, try for the win, and then see what happens. So it's definitely one of those things. It just all has to be about timing being right and me mentally being in the place where I want to go. I want to be away from my friends and my family and my real life responsibilities.
How important to you is it to get a challenge championship? Is it mostly just about the money and getting that massive paycheck? I mean, that's obviously great, but is there something about getting that challenge championship for you?
I used to not care. I'll be 100% honest with you. It used to be like, back during like Rivals 2, Battle of the Seasons, when I first started, it was like, okay, this is good money. This is fun. I get to go hang out with my friends. I'm young. It's a vacation. Then taking the time off, thinking I was done, coming back for All Stars. All Stars, filming All Stars is when I really realized, like, okay, maybe I really, really have what it takes to win, and I really want to win. So it's crazy. The older I got, my mentality changed. I'm like, if I'm going to go away from my real life and leave everything I love behind for 6 weeks and be stuck in this miserable, sometimes environment, then I want to fucking make it worthwhile, money wise and for bragging rights. Because, people can be aggressively mean on social media. So it's one of those things. If you win, they can never fucking take that away from you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, if you had a hand in the casting for season two, is there somebody that we haven't seen come back yet that you would be like, we got to get this person back?
I mean, I obviously, and this is probably more for season 1 and 2. I really wish Rachel would have come back for season 1. I think if any girl could have given a guy a run for their money up that mountain, it would have been Rachel. So to me, it's just a bunch of like the old school girls. Obviously, I'm always gonna want like the Veronica, Rachel, Tina to come back together. I love the Mean Girls. I know that's like the names kind of judgmental now in the days that we live in, but I would, it's all about those girls coming back. I would love to see Rachel come back. I think she has it in it to win, and I love her as a human. So she's definitely somebody that I would love to see for season 2.
What happens if you say yes to going back to the show and you're on there, and also Beth and Veronica say yes and you're all in a house together?
You know what? I think that would be fucking stressful for me, and I would like to see what happens. I genuinely like could sit here and think, okay, I would do this, I would do this. I don't think there's any way that I could get those two to make up. There's no peacemaking negotiation skills on earth that could get those two together in a room to agree on anything. So I think that I would be called in a bad situation from the beginning, which would suck for me, but make great TV.
Do you still watch the challenge regularly, like when Double Agents was on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love to watch it. I love to see how they film it. Like, from a production perspective, it intrigues me. I obviously like to watch it and cheer for the veterans, and then I like to watch it and try to figure out why they casted some of these rookies that no one knows and that don't make sense for the show. So I watch it to be critical and because I enjoy it.
And just to reiterate, you don't have any want to go on to the regular challenge anymore, it sounds like.
No, recently they after All Stars, they, called me about, 37, the one that's filming now. And I'm like, I just got back from All Stars. The last thing I want to do is go live in the challenge house again. And thank God I didn't go because they were filming, had to stop. Well, they obviously quarantined and then they were filming. Then they had to stop filming and had to go back into quarantine. And I'm not gonna lie, I would have left. If I had to stop filming and go back in quarantine, my ass would have come home. So I'm glad I didn't do that season because I probably would have quit during quarantine. I'll be very honest.
But say that the timing doesn't work out for All Star season 2, and then they call you for the next regular season. I mean, would you? Because before you went on to All Star, it sounds like you didn't want anything to do with the direction of the regular season. But now, you got on to All Stars, you did well on it. Are you now a little more open to going back to your regular season?
I think maybe, and I think it all boils down to like figuring out who's getting casted because you figure out who's getting cast and you kind of figure out maybe a theme better. Is there going to be a lot of, vets and people that I know on it? So again, it always just comes down to, does this timing fit into my life in every aspect? And it's like, if it's meant to be, it will be like All Stars 1 was meant to be. And that's kind of how I look at every season. That's how I'm looking at season 2 and any future season. It will always just kind of be like, my gut will tell me if I'm supposed to go or not.
Speaking about the cast, I guess let's come on your thoughts on the new players. Specifically, there's kind of like the 2 new waves, right? There's like the Big Brother people, and then also there's a lot of UK people that came on. So I guess first let's talk about the Big Brother alliance, like the Big Brothers that are on there. What are your general thoughts on them? And is there someone like maybe a Casey or a Fessy that you're interested in or you really are not into? I guess
I mean, I get why they cast Big Brother. Those people just know how to play a certain game. I don't cheer for them at all. There is no world that I want any of the Big Brother people winning. When Amber won, I really didn't have any thoughts about her because the poor girl got no like camera time on the season. So it's like this girl that we didn't see all season just wins, but she kind of wins with CT. So it's like her winning kind of got overshadowed because it was all about CT. But no, I sit at home and I actively cheer against Fessy and Casey and Josh. Josh and Fessy at least made good TV. I will never understand the Casey casting. I stand by that. I don't understand how this girl continuously gets a spot on the show.
Yeah, that's actually been said by a few challenge stars. I've heard that from, I believe Wes has said that before. It does
and
seem...
he's at least met her and filmed with her. Like, I'm speaking just from a perspective of a viewer.
Mhm.
Wes, and Wes is pretty smart about knowing, who deserves a casting spot and doesn't deserve a casting spot. So it is said a lot about her.
Now, how about the UK? I mean, I do feel like there's definitely more personality that has been brought from the UK onto the show. There's been some big names like a Georgia or like a Rogan. What are your thoughts, I guess, on the UK coming over?
I did Vendettas, which is the first season that they brought the UK kids over. So with the Kyle, Kaylee, Melissa. So I get it. I get bringing over certain personalities like theirs. I just think that they're kind of almost saturating it with too many UK players. And the original challenge fans, the true challenge fans, can't get to know all these people. It's not enough time in a challenge episode in a season to get to know these people. So I think they should scale it back, bring, the big personalities with a good following. Yes, I get that. But we don't need half the show to be UK kids.
I'd love to do just kind of like a rapid fire, like word or sentence association, kind of get your temperature on a few different cast members that maybe you haven't seen for a while that you watch. Obviously, you still watch the show.
For sure.
So let's start off with a good name. We just mentioned him. How about Wes?
Mastermind. Like, he's one of my favorite guy players forever. Like, just he's got it. Mastermind.
How about Anissa?
Just, I mean, a staple player in the game. Anissa's always going to be around as long as she says yes to calls. So just staple player in the game.
How happy were you to see her make it to the final finally?
I love that. I mean, Anissa and I don't always see eye. I mean, usually we are on the same side in the game, but my most favorite thing about mine and Anissa's relationship is we can put the game and shit that's said in interviews and shit that's said on TV aside because we're just very close in real life. Like her and I recently had dinner in LA, and like she doesn't care if I talk shit about her. I don't care if she talks shit about me because we understand that it's just a TV show and we know our real life friendship.
What about Johnny Bananas?
Depends on the fucking day. I love him in real life. I hate playing the game with them.
How about all of, obviously he's found a lot of success outside of the challenge now. And I spoke to him a couple months ago when he came out with the Celebrity Sleepover. He was kind of alluding to the fact that, he's taken a little bit of a step back away from the challenge. He obviously doesn't look like he's on the season coming up here either.
Yeah, he's not.
I guess pretty happy though to see, a challenge alumni doing so well. And
I love that for him. I love that he's opening doors for other challenge people because Johnny's done a lot of people don't know this. He's done a lot of negotiating the challenge contracts that, that they now use. So for him to, open that door, because at the end of the day, he is the face of the franchise. He is the face of the show. So for him to be able to step out and do other things, I think it sets, the tone for other people.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love Johnny in real life. I just sometimes hate playing the game with him.
Yeah. How about Kellyanne?
Kellyanne, oh, she's fucking nuts in the best way. Her and I are super close, but she's fucking nuts. But in the best way. It's like with Kellyanne, you never know what you're gonna get. She might be in the best mood and the happiest person in the world, or she might want to kill you. So with Kellyanne, it's just kind of like, what am I gonna get today?
How about let's talk about Fessy. You already kind of mentioned him when we spoke with Big Brother, but what about Fessy himself?
He'll never win. Overrated.
Why is he overrated? What?
He just got cocky too quick, and I think the challenge gods are just going to continuously humble this man until he comes back down to real life. Like the other day, he posted about a boxing match between him and CT. It's like, Fessy, CT is from Boston and grew up fighting, and he's fucking nuts. He will kill you. It doesn't matter how much older he is than you. CT will murder you, Fessy. I just think that he, got a little taste of the challenge love too fast, and he's just overbearing. He went from being a fan favorite the first season to people actively cheer for him to lose in 2-3 seasons. It's wild to me.
How about let's do Kendall.
Kendall just depends on the day, man. Sometimes I love Kendall, and sometimes I'm just like, Kendall, get it together. I don't know. I just think that her and I are very different personalities, and I have to learn to deal with those type of personalities better because I come off very judgmental, and then she comes off very sweet. I'm like, oh, I'm always the bad guy.
We'll do one more for you, and it's Cara Maria.
Cara Maria, man, the ups and downs with that girl. I would love to see her back. I think she let her relationship ruin her ability to play this game and she was the up and coming face of the franchise. And I think her relationship with Paulie ruined that. And I could, write a whole thesis on her choosing the relationship over, her job, but her life, her decisions.
Do you see MTV bringing back Paulie and Cara together on a season?
I think that Cara maybe has a chance to come back. I would be very surprised if we ever saw Paulie on a challenge again. I don't, for various reasons. Can't pinpoint why I think we'll never see him, but I'd be shocked if we saw Paulie on a season.
What would you say the reasons are? I guess if you can't pinpoint, is there what would a couple reasons be?
I just think that him and Cara maybe, I don't know. There's so many rumors. They leaked too much to fans and production got a hold of that. I don't even think that's it because there's so much shit that leaks. Fans can't control that. There's rumors that he failed a psych test. Again, rumors are rumors. Who knows? I just think his behavior has been so bizarre in production. I don't think wants to deal with him. And I think a lot of fans don't realize that at the end of the day, production will cast difficult people in order to get the show they want, but they're not going to cast, people that are just going to constantly be difficult. And I think that they saw Paulie and Cara going down that road and decided just to step away. Again, I don't know what goes on behind those closed doors in production, but I think it has something to do with that.
Okay. What are you up to nowadays? I was just on your Instagram. Looks like you're in Louisiana. So
Yeah, I live in New Orleans,
yeah.
the best place ever. The best thing about living in New Orleans is the people, and there's always things to do and events going on. So I've been like really trying to focus on being more of like a local, because I hate the word influencer, so I don't even want to use that word. But using my brand and my following to help small businesses promote small businesses that I love in New Orleans. So I've been kind of just focused on that. I'm opening an online vintage store because I'm a huge vintage curator. So I'm like, okay, let me actually finally turn this into something. So yeah, and that's kind of what it comes down to with All Stars too, is I have these things that I love and these responsibilities here. And it's just like, can I step away from this? Does it make sense to step away and, attempt to go get that W?
Now, so you're still rocking with the Patreon too, right? You're still putting out
Yes,
active
yes.
content up there. So
Yes, I love my Patreon fans because it feels like a safe space, because obviously people only pay for Patreon if they really like you or want to hear what you have to say. So Patreon is where I get my shit off because it's a safe space with, me and my friends, it feels like. So I'm just, on there giving that's where like all the real tea is. I've kind of stepped away from even posting too much on Twitter and Instagram and just literally save it all for my Patreon people.
nice. A year from now, in 365 days, is there a couple goals that you have in mind that within a year you hope you have accomplished, and that it's a big part of your life? Could you kind of, I guess, give us a little bit of hint of what your goals are in the next year?
Absolutely, and this is probably why I should go on the challenge and try to get a win. Like, I'm literally getting my like, doing real estate right now, and I don't want to be a real estate agent. I want to buy property in New Orleans. So, like, that's the long-term goal, is just to own property in New Orleans, to invest in this city, and, this is, like, where I wanna put all my roots in, and that's the best way to establish roots, is to buy property. So that's the plan, and probably why I should go, win a challenge so I can, just use that cash money, right?
Well, that's all I had for you today, Jemmye. I really appreciate the time. Thanks so much. And hopefully we see you on the next season. I mean, as a fan of the show as well as someone that covers it, it's always fun to see you on there. So thanks again.
Thank
Enjoy your
you.
summer.
Thank you. Like I said, I'll be there if the timing's right. So it all just comes down to that moment when the departure date is.